Hi, it's Cody Hendricks, and today we're going to do the last part of our data app so we can actually see what we can do to save internal state to the actual device, aka what's inside the actual list and how it saves inside that. So right now, as you can see right here, I've got my app right here. I can scroll up and down. I have those items that are inside the bucket list item section. However, if I go over here and I use the remove to delete right here, we'll go up here and we'll grab that first one right here so we can clearly see it's off the list and climb more. Take that off, delete off the exercise one as well. So we definitely have less items in there. If I go ahead and stop my app and reopen it, we're going to see that those things are actually gone. So let's go ahead and look inside Xcode, stop the running version of the app. So we'll go ahead and stop the demo. As you can see, simulator is open. So we'll open that thing, start it right back up. And all those things I just took off are gone. We just start off with get more fit. So those things that were up there, like the cool demo and the AM demo and the last demo we're doing, all those values that were inside the list are all gone. So I've made it so it can actually save and update the changes in there. So if I add something and save it, it's also going to be there. So again, if I remove or add things to the list of bucket items I'm working with, it's now saved inside the actual device. Let's go ahead and take a look to see what we have to make that happen to allow that to save. Here in Xcode, where we make those changes is inside our bucket store class. Previously, our bucket store was just a quick little class that had a data member, var buckets, and an init that simply initialized the buckets variable based on what was passed to it. To make it so we can save the contents to it and read the contents from the existing device that we're working with, whether it's a simulator or phone or tablet we're talking to, all we have to do is make a couple changes to it to work on that. We have to update the variable so it has a didSet property observer. The property observer is a special type of thing that can actually look and see, hey, I made a change to the actual structure that I'm talking to. In this case, the buckets list or buckets array, whatever you want to call it, because it's the square bracket notation, so you think it's an array, but it acts like a list because it's resizable. And so in that didSet, if we actually change what's inside that lovely thing, the size of that, we're going to go ahead and if we made a change, we're going to then say let encoder equal JSON encoder. Oh, so instead of decoding the JSON, we're going to encode the JSON data into our system. And then we're going to say if we can let encoded buckets be a optional try to encoder.encode buckets. Can I turn buckets into JSON information? If I can, oh, cool. If I can, then I'm going to go to UserDefaults. UserDefaults is how I can actually assign a small-ish value to the device itself and save it to it. If I want to save things like pictures or actual major files, there's a documents folder I can actually save into, and that besides simply the standard library. But for simple things like this, we'll just go ahead and put it in standard. And so UserDefaults.standard.set, and I'm going to assign to it for a key saved buckets. So I'm going to let that encoded data, encoded buckets, for the key. So it's a key value pair system we use to save that. And so every time I change that, that will be fired. So that's going to get fired every time I either add to or remove from the list that's inside my actual app. Now, so I can reload it and I have something in there, we just change our init. So instead of simply just being the default list of bucket items or an empty list to start off like we have in our current init header right now, I check to see, is something in there? So I do if let and then stored, because it's a representation of what we're actually putting inside that. I'm going to say UserDefaults.standard.data for key. Is there something inside there with a key of saved buckets? So I'm looking for that string key, and if something's attached to that, in this case, like I saved something earlier, then good, I'll load it up. Then I'm going to try and decode it. Hey, we've done that already. Let decoder equal JSON decoder, and again, we have the exact same thing. If let saved buckets equal try.decoder.decode bucket list item square brackets dot self from stored. Oh, can I take that data and squish it into an array list of buckets? Yes, I can. Cool. And I just say if save buckets is not equal 0, I'm just going to transfer it back in. And boom, we're good to go. I'm able to load that back up. So to make sure there's nothing in there, I just put it right in. And I use that early return to simply just get right out of it. If there was nothing inside of saved buckets, I'd go ahead and skip right out of that because I don't want to load nothing in there. And I would use that existing value right here of that bucket list that I saved to when I called the init in the first place and assign that variable buckets into the self.bucket so I have access to the original data set. And so now if I go ahead and reload this back up, go back to my simulator, I'm going to go ahead and create a new one right here. And this is save data, exclamation point. What's the goal? Show it works. And I'm going to add a bucket item. It's right there. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to stop the existing run right here. Boom. We're going to open it back up. So as you can see, it's closed. Relaunch the app. Build successful. Loads it back up. show it works, the save data is there. So as you can see, we can load to and save, we can add, remove, and have it all be right there. This is an amazing tool. You can do some really great things, and you can use this to do some quick saves inside your data, and so you can actually see how you can actually manipulate data inside this app. So again, take a look at what we've done inside this data app. Hope that can be a really helpful tool so you can learn how to use SwiftUI, interact with data, and get some understanding of how you use iOS development. Thanks again. Have a great day. Cheers.